Hey everyone, this is Penelope Fisher, and our group chose the Walt Disney Company to review for this project. To help me present our strategic analysis and evaluation of the company's current and future state are my team members, Sam, Matthew, Spencer, Vince, and Sirena Moore. Here's just a quick overview of what we'll plan to walk you through today. We'll discuss the history of the company, the current state of Walt Disney, the latest news, the problem statement, and industry analysis, and what we conclude to be the future state of the Walt Disney Company. Now I'll turn it over to Matthew to tell you more about the man behind the mouse.
Thank you, Penelope. Let's first look at the founder, Walt Disney. He was born December 5, 1901 in Chicago. At the Chicago Institute of Art in his teenage years, he became a cartoonist for his school magazine and began to explore his artistic itch. At age 18, he got a job with the Kansas City Film Advertising Company and began to work in a new field called animation, where he could leverage his talents as a cartoonist, which he did throughout grade school. In 1921, he created his own studio, Laugh-O-Gram, and shortly after filed for bankruptcy. Failure, however, was not going to stop Walt Disney, as he was once quoted saying, "All the adversity I've had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." Walt Disney then moved out to Hollywood, California, with his brother Roy to create a company that would eventually be named Walt Disney Studios. Now let's take a look at the company history. The official start date of the company was October 16, 1923. While the first name of the company was Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio, at Roy's suggestion, it was changed to Walt Disney Studio. They made a third Mickey Mouse cartoon, this time with fully synchronized sound, and Steamboat Willie opened to rave reviews at the Colony Theater in New York in 1928. At Christmas time 1937, Snow White was released and became the highest-grossing film of all time. Work immediately began on other feature projects, but just as things were looking rosy, along came World War II. The next two features, Pinocchio and Fantasia, were released in 1940. They were considered technical masterpieces. The Mickey Mouse Club, one of television's most popular children's series, debuted in 1955. Also in 1955, Disneyland opened, after several years of planning and construction. It has been used as a pattern for every amusement park built since its opening, becoming internationally famous. Sadly, Walt Disney died December 15, 1966. After the success of Disneyland, it was only natural for Walt to consider another park on the East Coast. Prior to his death, the company had purchased land in Florida, and the Walt Disney World project, located in Orlando, was announced. It opened October 1, 1971, and became Disney World. Epcot was then added to the theme park and opened in 1982. And eventually, the theme parks went international, and Tokyo Disneyland opened in 1983. The company had left network television in 1983 to prepare the launch of a cable network, the Disney Channel. Disney continued expanding their reach in merchandising and franchising. By 1996, there was more than 450 Disney stores worldwide, and by 1999 that number was up to 725. Early in 1996, Disney completed its acquisition of Capital City/ABC Company. The big news in 2009 was the acquisition of Marvel Entertainment, which has proven to be very financially successful for them. In 2010, the company sold Miramax Entertainment. And in 2019, Disney completed the acquisition of 20th Century Fox.
Disney enjoys a storied history of great leaders and creators. One of its catalysts of recent success is Robert Iger, chairman and CEO. Leader of one of the world's largest media companies, Mr. Iger subscribes to three pillars of strategic vision for the Disney company: generating the best creative content possible, fostering innovation and utilizing technology, and expanding into new markets around the world. Mr. Iger enjoys a rich history of success. Under his leadership, Disney acquired Pixar in 2006, Marvel 2009, Lucasfilms in 2012, most notably 21st Century Fox in 2019, and in 2018 and 2019 respectively, Iger and Disney launched ESPN Plus and Disney Plus, their streaming services.
So my name is Vince Lovely, and I will be giving an overview of Disney and the main competitors within each industry segment that it operates. I have listed the business segments within Disney in order of least revenue generated to the most on the current slide. Their smallest business segment is consumer products and interactive media. I will not go in great detail on this portion of their business because the revenue generated by consumer products mainly stems from the strong brands created through the other business segments, such as studio entertainment, media networks, and the parks and resorts. So the revenue generated by consumer product segment is largely dependent on these other segments, and the consumer products industry has a massive variety of competitors. Moving on to the next business segment, which is studio entertainment and their competition. This is the second smallest segment for Disney, but you could argue that even though it is not the largest segment by revenue, that it is the most overall important segment to the company. A lot of Disney's overall revenue generation depends on the content they create in the studio by leveraging that content and turning that content into a brand, then using those strong brands on cable networks, consumer products, and theme parks for additional revenue generation. Disney has dominated the studio entertainment space with blockbuster after blockbuster hit at the box office for quite some time. In the 2019 annual shareholder meeting, CEO Bob Iger shared this quote about just how well the studio is doing compared to its peers. I have this quote on the slide. It reads, "We released some of the most successful movies of the year, in fact generating more than $7.3 billion in total global box office. 2018 was actually the second time our studio delivered more than $7 billion in box office revenue, and we remain the only studio to ever do so." I have listed some of the top competition for Disney studio business above with the gross profit generated by each entity. As you can see, Disney grossed over $1 billion more in profit than its nearest competitor, and soon they will own the 21st Century Fox Studios, absorbing one of their largest competitors in this segment. This dominance looks to continue in 2019 with a large slate of animated classic remakes as well as the final Avengers movie, which will likely set box office records. I have pictured above some of their planned 2019 releases. Moving on to their second largest business segment, parks and resorts. This segment of their business has to be one of the leading reasons they have been able to build a truly global brand. They have theme park locations in California, Florida, Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. This segment is probably the most dominant of all when it comes to its competition. This segment encompasses a vast array of businesses. They operate several resorts, spas, hotels, and cruise lines, as well as licensing intellectual property to a third party to operate the foreign resort in Japan. In the theme park space, the competitors are of low threat at best. I have listed the top theme park competitors in this slide. Essentially, as you can see, the three largest competitors would have to combine in order to surpass the amount of people that visit the theme parks of Disney each year, which is approximately 150 million visitors. Including the hotels and cruise lines in this segment, they brought in an astounding total revenue of $20.3 billion and operating income of nearly $4.5 billion. The margins are not as good as the studio segment due to high overhead and operating expenses, but it is obvious they are firmly cemented at the top of the food chain when it comes to the competitive landscape in this industry.
Media networks is their largest business segment by revenue, and this is where competition has arisen and really become a headwind for the company. This segment includes cable and broadcast television networks, television production and distribution operations, domestic television stations, and radio networks and stations. They mainly derive their revenue in this segment from fees charged to cable and telecommunication providers for the right to use their content in the form of products like their movies, Disney Channel, ESPN, and Freeform. They also sell to advertisers the rights for spots on their networks during the running of their content. Competition has become fierce in this at-home entertainment section with the rise of streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, HBO Go, and much more to likely come in the future. We will go in more depth later in the presentation on the increased streaming competition and how it is shaping Disney's future strategy. This increased competition in at-home entertainment has hurt the operating margins in media networks and therefore operating income. Although revenue for media networks remained relatively flat since 2016, around $24 billion, operating profits have decreased from $7.7 billion to $6.6 billion since 2016, as I have pictured in this slide. Sam will elaborate more on the overall financials of Disney in the next few slides.
As we look at the market analysis of Disney, we can see that Disney on the stock market has seen recent success and longevity of success over the years. As a publicly traded company, we can see that in Q1 for 2019, Disney beat market expectations with an EPS of 1.8.4 per share, while the investment research and analysts of the market expected an EPS of 1.57. Disney shares have risen roughly around 3% since the beginning of the year, which unfortunately, while the S&P 500 has approximately climbed about 9% year to date, the cyclical nature of certain operational units of the company, along with its beta of 0.51, explain the cap growth in comparison to the bullish market. The large infrastructure of Disney, as well as its diversified revenues and strong returns on invested capital, give Disney the financial health the company requires to continue to seek financially and make it a good buy and hold decision for stockholders. The strategic flexibility of the company allows the firm to deal with cyclical downturns and maintains funds to accommodate strategic spending for future growth. Disney has continued to build up its total debt levels, both short and long term, through a lower cost of capital via a strong AA rating for its credit. Their strategic decision to maintain strong cash and short-term investment levels through above-average leverage signals a current level of operating cash is high enough to cover any current debts, which is a sign of strong financial health to its shareholders and the street. Vince has just discussed the different business units that make up the Disney company. We will now take a look at the financial analysis of Disney and see how management uses these different business units to return shareholder wealth. As we look at the financial statements for Disney, we can see that the company has demonstrated stronger than average financial stability. This is heavily due to their diversification of different business segments, new and upcoming M&A strategies, as well as their reliance on a strong brand recognition. The company generated over $59 billion in 2018, which it realized $12.5 billion of that in net income, resulting in a net profit margin of 21.18%. During 2018, Disney reported earnings for the fiscal year that resulted in diluted earnings per share of $7.30, which was up from $5.70 the year before, a 28% increase. The driver of this increase was mainly due to lower effective tax rates facing the company as a result of the federal tax reform, higher segment operating income, which we will discuss here in a second, and strategic share repurchase program put in place by management. The increases, however, were offset by the company's controlling interest investments, as well as impairment of some of their equity and joint ventures, especially around Vice Group Holdings, and as well as a higher net interest expense. The increase in net interest expense was due to an increase in average interest rates in the market, as well as a higher level of debt financing, which the company currently took on to help fund pending strategic decisions. From a holistic view, we see that Disney is in a fairly good position financially, with optimal levels of debt and strong expected future cash flows for a majority of their long-term operating investments. By evaluating the subcomponents that make up Disney's top and bottom line, we start by discussing Disney's largest subcomponent, media networks. Vince discussed briefly the operational foundation of the Disney's cable and broadcasting segments, but we see that the media networks returned $24.5 billion in revenue in 2018 and turned $6.6 into net operating income, a net margin of 27%, which is up 4.3% from 2017. After a deeper analysis, we see that the increase in cable network segments of Disney's operations was driven mainly by lower programming and marketing costs, as well as higher program sales. The broadcasting revenue increases in operating income was due to higher program sales driven by contractual rate increases through the sales of 2 Marvel series. However, losses were attributed to the higher programming and labor costs associated with products and streaming devices such as Hulu. The marketing business makes up 41% of Disney's revenue and remains the focus of their core operations. Disney's second largest revenue driver is their Parks and Resorts business unit. The Parks and Resorts revenues for the quarter increased to $20.3 billion with a net income of $4.4 billion, which resulted in a net profit margin of 4.65%. This increase in revenue was due mainly to an increase in their domestic operations. However, the results were hindered at times by the adverse effects of Hurricane Irma. Guest spending growth was due to an increase in average ticket prices for the theme park admissions and cruise line sailing, as well as food and beverage and merchandising spending, along with rising average daily hotel room rates. The increase in cost was primarily due to labor and other cost inflation, and a special fiscal 2018 domestic employee bonus was paid and higher charges for project abandonments were incurred. The business segment's annual revenue growth of 10.3% for 2017 allows us to remain a heavy driver in revenue and business success for Disney. Next business segment we look at is studio entertainment. Studio entertainment for Disney, in which it realizes revenues and net income for the quarter increased to $10 and $3 billion respectively. The drivers of this growth were attributed to gains in theatrical distribution, lower film cost impairments, and higher TV and home entertainment demand. The increase in studio entertainment distribution was due to the success of pictures such as Incredibles 2 and Ant-Man. The decrease in the film cost impairments resulted in write-offs of animated titles that were having operational challenges in development. The annual growth for Disney's Studio Entertainment business unit was an explosive 19% in 2018, and predictions and forecasts show continued growth into 2019. Disney's fourth component and its smallest is Disney's consumer product division. The Disney's consumer products experienced a decline in growth, recording $4.7 billion in revenue and $1.6 billion in net income, an annual decrease of 3.7% from 2017. The decrease in financials for Disney's consumer products and interactive media, its smallest business unit, was primarily due to asset impairments and lower income from licensing activities due to reduced demand in Star Wars and car-based products. This wraps up our financial analysis portion of the presentation. We will now see how Disney continues to use this earned capital to make strategic decisions that hopefully will continue to build shareholder wealth and place them in the best position to realize competitive advantages in the market. I'll now hand it over to Penelope to discuss what Disney's currently going on in its current landscape in the news.
Thanks, Sam. So far, we've discussed the background on Disney's history, the industry, drivers, and financial performance to really give you a better idea of the company's history. However, there have been some big developments in the world of Disney lately. In August of 2018, Disney released its earnings and announced that a new streaming service called Disney Plus was coming. The service, which is expected to launch in the US on November 12th in 2019, will be a video-on-demand service featuring exclusive streaming of all of Disney's movies in 2019 and beyond, starting with the Captain Marvel launch, adding the next Avengers, Star Wars, Frozen, and Toy Story movies, and more. Within its first year, Disney will have more than 25 original episodic series and more than 10 original movies, documentaries, and specials. Combined with library content, Disney Plus will have more than 7,500 series episodes and more than 500 movies, with more than 100 of those films being more recent. This announcement coincides with the largest merger in Disney's history. Really, after months of thinking about the idea, Disney and Fox announced in December of 2017 They had agreed to a $52.4 billion deal that would sell off most of Robert Murdoch's entertainment properties. Sam's going to tell us more about the merger and Disney's strategy.
As we evaluate Disney's M&A strategy, we can see that throughout the company's history, it has remained consistent with its focus on internal growth strategies with a minimal number of mergers and acquisitions compared to similar companies of its size. Despite operations across multiple sectors and realms of entertainment, the Disney family has relied on creativity as the foundation of the competitive advantage the company experiences. However, this strategy has begun to subside as Bob Iger, current CEO, has led Disney to generate shareholder wealth through pursuing major acquisitions. To highlight a few of Disney's recent M&A ventures, we first look at its BAMTech acquisition. In August of 2017, Disney announced the acquisition of BAMTech for $1.58 billion to acquire an additional 42% stake in BAMTech from MLBAM. Disney previously acquired 33% of BAMTech in 2016 under agreement that included an optionality to acquire a majority stake at a later date. BAMTech is a global leader in the direct-to-consumer streaming technology, marketing service, data analytics, and commerce management. Disney's transition into the streaming market was heavily enticed by the capabilities of BAMTech. The innovative technologies of the company have allowed Disney to further bridge the gap between content creators and consumers. The first focus of the acquisition was Disney's ESPN-branded multi-sports service, which offers a wide range of sports programming. The service enhanced Disney's already popular ESPN app, which has become the premier digital destination for sports content. The digital and streaming capabilities acquired from BAMTech will also help Disney create their new branded streaming service. This service will be Disney's hub for the subscription, video on-demand viewing of original movies, TV shows, short-form content, and other Disney-branded exclusives for their services. Another, most recent acquisition in the company was its acquisition of 21st Century Fox. The $71 billion acquisition for 21st Century Fox, which closed Wednesday, April 20th, 2019, is focused around adding a wide range of entertainment assets to Disney's inventory as it prepares to launch its streaming services into an already crowded market. Notable shows that will be integrated from Fox include Modern Family, This Is Us, Marvel's X-Men. As well, Disney's acquisition will allow the company to continue to build a strong content library to afford them the ability to compete with streaming tech players like Netflix, Amazon, and Apple. Bob Iger, in his message to Disney employees following the deal's closing, said, "We've never been satisfied with the status quo, and our vision for this transformation era is our boldest yet. We are rapidly transforming our company to take full advantage of evolving consumer trends and emerging technologies in order to thrive in this new and exciting time." An acquisition of this time and size includes a large amount of challenges in regards to integrating the two businesses to create a global enterprise and giant. Expected obstacles for Disney include layoffs, regulatory issues, and process changes. However, as the company looks forward towards the future, they believe the acquisition of both 21st Century Fox and BAMTech will place them in a great position to capitalize on the new streaming technologies and market currently in today's landscape.
As you heard, the future state of Disney requires them to expand to new digital capabilities such as Disney Plus. Currently, Disney's revenue from cable TV services is declining, but Disney is hoping the launch of Disney Plus will provide enough revenue to supplement the slowing growth of other segments and point Disney toward the future. However, will this source of revenue be profitable enough to offset the declining cable business, and can they compete with services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Apple, and more? And does Disney have the content machine available to compete in this space? Now let's take a closer look at streaming technology and the competitors in this space. A majority of the media we watch or listen to online, such as YouTube or Netflix, is delivered to our devices using streaming technology. Streaming technology is used to deliver content to TVs, computers, and mobile devices over the internet. It transmits data, primarily audio and video, as a continuous flow, which allows the recipients to begin to watch or listen almost immediately. Streaming allows users to start using the content before the entire file is downloaded. It is used as an alternative for cable, and there are a multitude of options for consumers looking to stream TVs and movies. The rise of online streaming services has dramatically altered the media habits of Americans, especially young adults. Although a majority of U.S. adults still use cable or satellite as their primary way to watch television, the percentage of young adults that use streaming services is much higher. About 6 in 10 of those ages 18 to 29 say the primary way they watch television is with streaming services on the internet, compared to 31% who say they mostly watch via cable or satellite subscription and only 5% who watch with a digital antenna. This information is according to a research center survey conducted in August 2017. So the percentage of streamers is most likely even higher now. For Disney, this means the future is in streaming and they are ready to jump in. In 2017, Disney released its plans to launch its own subscription streaming service, Disney Plus. It is set to release November 12, 2019, and the subscription price will be $6.99 a month, which is lower than most all of its competitors. Robert Iger, the Walt Disney Company's chairman and CEO, says that they priced Disney Plus substantially below where Netflix is, in part reflective of the fact that it will be substantially less volume. In short, less content for less money, but there will be plenty of compelling stuff it offers. It will be an all-in-one Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars video destination, packing plenty of existing movies and TV shows along with a stack of brand new content. Disney Plus, entirely subscription supported and with no advertising, is expected to sustain financial losses for its first 4 years of operation before turning profitable by fiscal year 2024. Disney Plus is not Disney's first experience in the streaming technology market. Hulu and ESPN Plus are both owned by Disney. Hulu was released in 2007 and offers premium video content from television shows to feature-length movies through a wide range of partnerships with various studios including MGM, Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures Television, and others. Hulu updates its platform with current TV shows within 24 hours of airing. ESPN Plus, on the other hand, is not a standalone streaming service or replacement for ESPN cable channel. Instead, ESPN Plus gives users a mobile way to access ESPN content and live programming through the ESPN app. ESPN Plus allows subscribers to watch a multitude of live games, but does not include the NFL. Some have wondered if Disney's involvement with Hulu and ESPN Plus would change with the addition of Disney Plus. Disney CEO addressed the issue earlier this year, saying, "What we said when we decided to launch ESPN Plus and Disney Plus is that rather than creating one gigantic fat bundle of sports, general entertainment programming, and family programming, we thought we'd serve the consumer better by segregating all three. Ultimately, our goal would be to use the same tech platform to make it easier for people to sign up for all three should they want to. Same credit card, same username, same password, etc. But give the consumer the kind of choice that we think consumers are going to demand more and more in today's world." The competitive streaming landscape is growing and will only continue to grow. Disney Plus will be entering into a market that has been dominated by companies like Netflix, Amazon, HBO, and others. The most dominant and well-known in the industry is Netflix. Netflix began as a subscription-based DVD service that mailed DVDs straight to your home. In 2007, Netflix debuted its streaming service, allowing viewers to watch thousands of on-demand TV shows and movies ad-free. 10 years later, Netflix has become one of the biggest names in entertainment, producing critically acclaimed TV shows, movies, and hosting original comedy specials. It even exclusively streamed Disney movies from 2012 to 2018. The monthly subscription price for their standard option is $12.99, double the price of Disney Plus. Amazon Prime Video began in 2006. Prime Video is a video streaming service available for Amazon Prime members. With an eligible Amazon Prime membership, you have access to thousands of Prime Video titles at no additional cost. For a standalone Prime Video subscription, it costs $8.99 per month. HBO offers two different streaming services, HBO Now and HBO Go. HBO Now is a standalone streaming service that doesn't require cable or satellite TV. HBO Go is a streaming service included free with your paid HBO subscription through a TV provider. A cable or TV package that includes HBO is required. Sling TV and Apple TV Plus are fairly new to the competitive streaming landscape. Sling TV began in 2015 and is a service that allows subscribers to watch a collection of live and on-demand TV channels on their TVs, computers, tablets, or phones. This is live TV, just like a cable or satellite TV service, except it's streamed over the internet. Sling TV has 3 different options for its users. Sling Orange, $25 per month, 22 channels, but is limited to 1 simultaneous stream at a time. Sling Blue, $25 per month, has 35 channels with up to 3 simultaneous streams. Sling Orange and Blue, $40 per month, includes all channels from both, up to 4 simultaneous streams. Apple TV Plus is set to release in 2019, although the date is yet to be set. It will be a subscription service for its exclusive original shows and films. Apple's new subscription service will live inside its TV app, where Apple TV Plus will sit next to other video subscriptions such as HBO or Starz. Although Disney is entering a highly competitive landscape, the companies using streaming technology all offer something a little different. Whether it's a difference in price or variety, consumers have plenty of options. Disney Plus has positioned itself to be competitive and profitable in the near future. Next is Penelope, who's going to take a look at where Disney is performing well and where there is room for improvement.
Thanks, Spencer. SWOT, which stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats, is a way to identify the landscape of external and internal factors at play for Disney. Let's go through each one in detail, beginning with strengths. Brand strength and recognition is obviously one of Disney's strengths. Disney's brand has a strong history beginning with its founder, Walt Disney, in 1923. The brand equity is due to years of storytelling and relationships with beloved characters that has built up over years. Whether it was at the movie theater, in your home, or at a theme park, chances are you can recall a special Disney moment in your life. In fact, Disney is ranked in the top 10 of the world's most powerful brands for decades. According to Brand Finance, Disney's strength is founded on its rich history and original creations. However, its now dominant position is the result of many acquisitions and the powerful brands it has brought under its control. ESPN, Pixar, The Muppets, and Marvel are all now Disney-owned, but perhaps its most important acquisition has been Lucasfilm and Star Wars. Another strength is product differentiation. Disney has diversified revenue, making it not too dependent on any one channel. The main channels, television and entertainment, are in the entertainment industry. However, with theme parks worldwide and Disney Cruise Lines, they're making a strong showing in the travel and hospitality industry as well. Finally, Disney owns and operates nearly 400 Disney retail stores around the world. The move into streaming with Disney Plus is another source of revenue for the company. Another strength is that Disney is financially strong with a large cash flow. Total operating cash flow is $14.3 billion and free cash flow of $7.63 billion at the end of 2018. This allows Disney to freely make investments and acquisitions. Another strength is the team of experts at Disney. Disney has an array of skilled artists, sound engineers, writers, and graphic designers among its team. In total, their in-house expertise is a large factor of their success. The final strength is intellectual property. Disney owns the rights to some of the most popular films in cinematic history, constituting a portfolio of intellectual property that will continue generating revenue for decades to come. With the addition of Fox's Avatar franchise, Disney will own the rights to 12 of the top 20 highest-grossing movies in history. The deal also gives Disney a majority 60% stake in the cable brand Hulu. This strength is key to providing a competitive advantage for the company. Really, in short, they're a content machine and they don't have to spend the $6 to $8 billion that Netflix does producing content. Let's move on to internal weaknesses. One weakness is Disney's slow start. Disney's hoping for 90 million subscribers by the end of 2024 and 70 million or 75 million people paying around $70 per year. That's about $5 billion in revenue on an annual basis, which would be an 8% lift on 2018 sales. But remember, that's not coming till 2024. Disney has to take the time to build this service and audience, whereas Netflix has been building this audience for years. Another weakness is capital overhead that's required to run the theme parks and maintain profitability. Disney World and other parks and resorts are the second largest business segment for the company, and while they bring in billions, the profit margins are slim at 4.65%. Finally, another weakness is employee relations. Shortly after closing on the acquisition of 21st Century Fox, Disney began layoffs that are expected to cost as many as 4,000 Fox employees their jobs. Disney will need to pay close attention to how they intentionally manage their culture to ensure employees are happy. Next is a look at the opportunities on the horizon. First is the prospect of new audiences with the merger. Last year, Disney's overall market share for the domestic box office was 26%, placing the studio ahead of its 5 major competitors, not to mention a host of smaller independent companies. However, there is an untapped potential in those who have cut the cord to convert Disney's streaming. The acquisition gives Disney a total of 60% stake in Hulu, as we mentioned earlier, which will really help in their development of a direct-to-consumer streaming strategy, driven by the need to compete with Netflix and Amazon. Another big opportunity is creating dominant, content-rich streaming service. As mentioned before, the company's movie studio owns Walt Disney Pictures, Pixar, Marvel Studios, and Lucasfilm. Disney's TV studio, meanwhile, churns out content for Disney-owned network television channels like ABC, Disney Channel, Disney Junior, and so on. Add to all of this the studios that Disney has acquired through 21st Century Fox, which include Fox's major TV and movie studios, and you get a whole lot of content that they can pump into their own proprietary streaming service. And finally, another opportunity is future partnerships and packages. Disney has the opportunity to create packages, much like current cable networks, to bundle their proprietary channels together and give viewers access to Disney+, Hulu, ESPN, and much more. And finally, on to external threats. The first is established streaming services. Disney is competing with an entirely different brand of media provider in Netflix, which pumps out new content at a staggering rate backed by ambitious venture capital funding. Disney released 10 movies in 2018, while Netflix debuted 93. Another threat is cord cutters, which is sort of a catch-22. Cord cutters are a major threat to Disney's media network segment, as 43% of revenue comes from media. Disney has long prospered thanks to the cable bundle, and Disney's most valuable network, ESPN, collects approximately $8 per cable package subscriber a month. No other basic cable channel makes more than $2. But nearly half of adults ages 22 to 45 didn't watch any broadcast or cable TV in 2017, according to a study by the marketing agency Hearts and Science. With ESPN viewership declining by roughly 10% since 2011, cord cutters are troubling for Disney's media network segment, as it makes more money from television than from its movies or amusement parks. However, this threat for the media segment is an opportunity for the streaming service. And finally, success depends heavily on ratings and viewership. A threat to Disney's success is, of course, how great its content is. If Disney cannot get subscribers to buy into and love the movies and series they produce, they will ultimately fail. This requires courting new audiences and ensuring the old ones are still as enamored with the mouse as before. A SWOT really gives us an overview of where Disney currently stands, but to truly realize the value, we need to determine what strategic approach we should take. Matthew is going to walk us through Porter's 5 forces for a closer look.
Thank you, Penelope. To begin the Porter's 5 forces, let's first begin by looking at the intensity of rivalry among competitors. ESPN does not fit the mold of other Disney products, but provides diversity and flexibility for Disney. Sports is a wide-ranging tier of entertainment. ESPN Plus has already launched in 2018 and has 2 million plus users and offered at a very low cost of only $4.99 a month. The Disney Buena Vista Company had 26% market share of box office earnings in 2018, with the next closest studio, Warner Brothers, at 16%. And as you can see by the chart in the slide, their revenue grosses have continued to increase over the past 20 years, specifically so in the last few years. And through their expansion of the business and now with acquisition of 20th Century Fox, Disney has positioned themselves well for digital streaming. They can now own majority share of Hulu as well. Furthermore, they can utilize economies of scale and supply chains already in existence to lower cost. Let's begin by looking at the threat of new entrants. Networks are entering the streaming business at a fairly rapid rate. so it is a moderately high threat. CBS has launched CBS All Access, Sony has launched PlayStation Vue, AT&T has released DirecTV Now, and there are many other examples out there. The competition is already high. There is high competition in the streaming landscape with established clear rivals such as Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, and even YouTube. When it comes to the bargaining power of buyers, it is not difficult for consumers to switch streaming services with ease. If Disney Plus is not able to provide the value that consumers are used to through Netflix or Amazon Prime or numerous other options, they can easily find another streaming provider that provides them that value. As stated before, the competition is high. Consumers are expecting low prices for streaming services in comparison to cable services. This is why consumers are cutting the cord, so to speak, especially since the expectations at the moment is to have to bundle streaming services together to achieve the same amount of content as a cable provider. When examining the bargaining power of suppliers, we have to look at the fact that since Disney Company has been in existence since the 1920s, they have an extremely large library of original content. Disney owns so many profitable brands such as Marvel and Star Wars, this further bolsters their streaming content. They also have low cost, because while producing their own original content can be high, Disney benefits and saves expenses by not having to enter expensive licensing agreements because they produce so much original content. There's also a large number of suppliers in the industry. Numerous movie and television production studios, and now even streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime are creating their own original content. If we look at the threat of substitute products, Disney has created a cast of characters known throughout the globe, such as Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Bambi, Simba, and so many more. The scope of their influence and history of innovation in animation is unparalleled. There's really a relatively low substitute of products. While there are other studios producing family-friendly content, no other producer comes close to Disney's breadth and depth of products and historical significance. For example, Disney won the Academy Award for Animated Feature 10 out of the last 11 years until 2019. Disney also has a loyal consumer base. Disney owns product lines such as Marvel, Star Wars, and the subsidiary Pixar as well, which has created many beloved animated films over the past 20 years. Now I hand it off to Sirena.
Thank you, Pierre. So the question we raised earlier in our presentation was, is streaming good for Disney's business? According to Disney's leadership and market analysts, the future looks very promising, despite revenue declines in other segments of the business. The vast majority of media is consumed via streaming. In a recent Motley Fool interview with Dan Klein, he opined positive projections for Disney Plus. By 2024, 60 to 90 million subscribers will be using Disney Plus, 1/3 of the total subscriptions coming from U.S. households. At $70 per annual subscription, that equals to about $5 billion in revenue by 2024. Disney also enjoys a huge competitive advantage. With the acquisition of 21st Century Fox and AT&T, Disney now holds more than a 60% stake in Hulu, a once de facto Disney competitor. The result? Disney stocks rose to more than 12% and continues to grow. While streaming revenue will not be realized immediately, Disney plans to shore up revenue over the long run. It proposes to bundle its streaming services together, i.e. Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Spotify. This proposal allows for an all-in-one streaming service to exceed the bundle offerings of competitors like Apple, Amazon, and Netflix. So yes, streaming is good for Disney, and it's good for business in the long run.